somewhere.
The more you try to keep me down and keep my head above the water, you can never hold me down. The more you try to block me out, that's where I kick the wall down. You can never hold me back. The more you try to put me out, the more I'll be blazing, it's too hot. The more you try to put me in the dirt, increase my work, the expert. You see the hunger in the eyes of a survivor. Swallowed my pride, washed down with some saliva. Reinvented my whole life, mental MacGyver. One door shut, another open up wider. Listen, battle drums in the distance, moving with enough force like army tank pistons. Pray for the strength of Jah to fight resistance. Fight mode, shields up, moving with resilience.
The strength of 1,000 lion and the strength of 1,000 giant. Please stay strong. Please stay strong. With the strength of 1,000 elephant and the strength of 1,000 tiger, we stay strong. We stay strong.
Hey everybody, it's Casey with Pinecase, the podcast where music is our drug of choice. And today I'm hanging out with Alex and Carmine from Sleep in the Shine, all the way from the UK, which is super, super exciting. I love when we're able to connect like continents or religion or life. And then when I'm like, you know what, this is a little bit far away. This isn't just like a little bit of a time change here. Like you guys are pretty far into the future. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
thank you for having us.
If I may correct you.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we got to start off.
We're actually based in Vienna,
Yeah.
Austria.
Yeah, but
This gentleman is English. I'm half German, half American.
Okay.
We're living in Austria at the moment.
so
Wait
we're like
a
actually
second.
we're even further in
I'm from
time.
Austria.
We're even further in time. We're an hour extra ahead of that you thought. So
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Okay. It doesn't
it's a
matter
couple
how
of
much.
tons away.
Totally.
Like,
That's funny. Listen, it doesn't matter how many emails or text messages that go through. There's always going to be something like, I'm like, okay, we got to get like all the details ready and like get everything lined up. And then they're like, nah, actually none of that's true. Sorry. We do hip hop, not metal or something like that.
No, yeah. So just thank you for having us. And
Of course. It's
yeah, we know we're super grateful that just the spontaneity of you reaching out and just doing it. And I think that's what we're about. Is just kind of just living in the moment and just going straight for it.
Yeah.
When it feels right, of course.
Of course. No, we appreciate having you. I guess a little bit because Calico does a wonderful job of programming for us. She's got us booked right into the future. And every once in a while, it's like a gift for me because I get to experience something that I hadn't already known. Some of the people we interview are local and some of them aren't. And so I'm always interested to know kind of why she sources people, why she reaches out, what kind of interested her in bringing you guys on. And then I went down the rabbit hole and I was like, well, it makes absolute sense. I completely understand why she thought that this would make sense. Would you mind just letting the viewers in on a little bit about like how you two kind of came together? Because I feel like that might be maybe not the beginning of the story, but a good jump off spot for us.
Oh, all right. So me and Carmine, yeah, I think we met like 3 years ago, right?
Yeah, it must be actually probably even longer, 3.5.
3.5.
3.5 years ago.
Yeah, we both worked in a bar, and I left, and then I I walked in, and he was just behind the bar at the time, and kind of had like a bit of a click.
It was short, like
yeah.
they were gonna shoot it. Alex is a filmmaker.
Oh.
All the videos that you see, this is all this man's work. But he was filming something you were doing a video about one of your songs.
Yeah, and we just kind of had a brief chat, and then we're like, yeah, maybe we'll go out for a drink one time, and then we like bumped into each other like a couple of months later, kind of clicked, and we just kind of like Carmine made music, I made music, and then but for like another year, nothing really happened with us making music, and then we just kind of like sat in this room that we're in now and just wrote a song, and I think like one of the first songs we wrote was our first single called Plenty, and we're like, yo, this kind of has like kind of like a vibe to it, and then we just started like doing like weekly sessions, and I think within a couple of months we read out actually like more like 5 weeks we read out like 20 songs, and we're like, hey, something's kind of happening here, so let's just like roll with it. So then like this year kept on progressing of us kind of like writing, but then this is kind of like why we wanted to come on here and share this with you because we were making all this music, but I think our like our lifestyles was kind of conflicting with the goal, with the vision. We would often,
Mm,
right, get drunk and go out and party, and like a lot of things were kind of happening within our circle and ourselves, and like it kind of became a thing where like we had to make a decision between like this music and this career, or like this artistic path, or this kind of like wild lifestyle. And so me and Carmen then had like a little break because like Carmen was working a lot. I was also like just doing some stuff, and I think also like underlying that break was like a lot of the association that we had when we all came together was to do with party and drugs and drinking and
totally.
just
That's
going
how we
wild.
connected in
Yeah,
such a
that's yeah,
certain in
yeah,
a certain way. Like
yeah.
the beginning of our friendship, a lot of it was based around the partying, the drinking. It was locked down.
Uh-huh.
There wasn't that much going on, so I think
Yeah,
we connected pretty fast on that level.
yeah.
But then we realized there's much more to our friendship than just that. And then at some point, I remember we talked about like, hey, we both have this talent. We both are making music. It would be a waste if we didn't like collaborate in some shape or form.
Mhm.
Um,
Totally.
and but in that during that time, I was in another project called Ice Cream Dream, and Alex, yeah, and Alex also had a project called Lander, and his solo project, and he did a video for us. We also connected through that a lot. We did the It's Okay video together in a hotel. Um,
Yeah, I think as well, like we met like kind of near the end of this wild binge phase, like like I think
Interesting.
yeah, I think everyone has to go through some type of like this saying the awareness was there, but we were also choosing not to kind of be that aware at the same time. It's kind of like a bit of a interesting thing. And I think we met near the end, so we got to have like 1 year of naughtiness, and then we're kind of Carmine kind of came out of that illusion a bit quicker than I did, and like Carmine stopped drinking like over a year ago now, like a year and a
Wow.
half ago.
the first of
Congratulations.
thank you.
Hmm.
Yeah,
First of January 2024.
yeah,
I
and
stopped drinking.
and I think like it took me a bit more time to kind of like I think when you need to make a firm decision, it has to come from within, like
Absolutely.
yeah, and it took me I didn't want to let go of like this identity or like lifestyle, and in a way I really believe that was ultimate fun, like going out, meeting people, talking, all this kind of stuff, and I really thrived off that, and so did Carmine too. Like me and Carmine when we're drinking is kind of like wow, man, it's like, but it got too much, and it's just not to get too deep into it. It's like yeah, so I kind of realized like all right, I think it's my time. I knew for this project to go to the next level, for us to go to the next level on our paths, this actually has to stop. And Carmine, he's never pushed any of his like his views or beliefs on me. He's always been there to understand and listen and give me advice.
That's beautiful.
Kind of yeah, thank you, bro. And and but he kind of started letting me know, like subtly, like, hey, bro, like if you want this, if you want this project to actually like if you want to do this with me, like we need to like kind of like get on the same page, but not like, hey, this is the right way. It's just like, dude, this is the vibe I'm on right now, and I think this project needs this vibe, and totally Carmine was right, and yeah, sometimes a lot of crazy shit has to happen. You need to get a little slap in the face to kind of like, whoa, actually, the person I think I am is not actually being portrayed through my actions and my words, and I think that within myself and also within Carmen and with people around us, we just kind of realized like, whoa, this is not really leading us in the right direction. So let's just take a little step back and kind of see what happens when we're both like committed 100%, like not drinking. Don't get me wrong, I love to have a good drink, I love to go out, I love to social, and we still have a good social, but it's
Hmm.
just like we're in this kind of like healthy hermit phase, if that makes sense, or monk mode, where we're choosing now to kind of hide a little, not actually hide's the wrong word at all, fully be out there, like fully welcome challenge, fully welcome what life throws at us, but we're a bit more intentional now when we are out, and a bit more, I think present is the right word, and I think we're trying to portray that more in our music, is like the pain we feel, the pain we have, rather than mask it and escape it, we want to feel it.
Feel it and confront it and put that into the art rather than
Mhm.
drowning that in alcohol or drugs, and just putting that out into through writing, and let the pen be a form of cathartic therapy in some ways.
Cathartic thing, I like that.
But there
Yeah.
is like also a struggle for me. I mean, I can speak about myself for this, but I don't know if it's the same for you. For me, like for many years, like the drinking became an identity. This crazy wild party guy, and I remember back when I was young, when I was a teenager, I found it a bit hard to relate to other kids, or I was always a little bit of an outsider. I would always be try to be the center of attention, be that bad attention, be that good attention. That I always get in trouble in school. And I would always, I kind of pushed myself away from other people. And then I realized then the alcohol for me was a crutch to get over certain insecurities that were very deep rooted inside of me.
Mm.
And now I'm finding it a struggle to socialize without that, and to like learn how to be myself without feeling like I need to drink to become that certain person. That's something that I'm really working on right now. That's something that I'm going through right now. And that's what's so beautiful about this project. It really gives me the opportunity to be able to explore that and really write about that.
And yeah, and I think what helps as well is like, I think when you're like, yeah, dealing with some form of addiction or like severe escapism, not having a mission, not having a real why can really like be hard to kind of stop these vices. And I think this project is allowing us, is giving us a real sense of meaning and purpose to like, to continue on this path of like sobriety, like this path of sobriety, more like just path of being, you know, like of,
Speaking of
or
sobriety, you've also been, how
authentic self.
many months have you
It's
done?
been 3 months, and like, because I
Yeah.
think, yeah, man, it's like I tell you, like I feel like my brain is starting to like restructure and rewire now. Like my dopamine is getting my dopamine reward system is now for the art, for the music, for the
Beautiful.
creation. Like I wake up and I'm already having ideas. Like it's a little bit obsessive, but before it'd be more, oh, the weekends come and let's go out, let's go to this, do this, that. And what did I want to say was is that will come, I guess.
No,
Well,
listen,
Or just
there's
yeah.
it's so amazing. I find it so interesting that you guys, first of all, there's nothing wrong with going out and having a good time. I mean, culture, especially the entertainment industry, is really built on that. And although it does glorify it, there is still like a culture around it that isn't necessarily a negative thing. It's okay to be social, but I find it really interesting that you guys are like, okay, it's actually taking maybe it's taking a little bit away from what we're doing, so we're just gonna ditch this and like kick it into high gear for everything else. Like you could see that might be if you're a little bit hungover, then it takes away from being productive, or if you're dehydrated, which we were talking about before, like it's important to stay hydrated, and if those things are even lacking just a little bit, that's enough to try and figure out what else you could be doing that makes your gets everything going, the creative juices going. And I just think it's really neat because like sex, drugs, and rock and roll has been the staple of the music industry always. And although I appreciate all of those things, whether it be individual or not, they actually are more exciting when you're sober. Like, and not that I'm like, you can't drink or you can't do this or you can't do that, but when you are dead set sober, and you're able to actually have your dopamines and your serotonin and your melatonin all in check, the euphoria that comes from that is exponentially greater than anything I've ever experienced on a substance. But it takes doing that to get there. And I think it's really neat that you guys were like having a life and enjoying that, and then decided to make a choice to step that up into a better way, by dropping whichever. And also that you guys didn't disrespect each other on your journeys, because that can happen too, where you're like, hey, pull your shit together, like what's going on here? Or even if you weren't doing anything necessarily bad, but being like, well, I'm better than you because of this. And I see it happen a lot, in relationships where people, one person kind of takes on the task of sobriety or just recovery. I use recovery really generally because we're not necessarily recovering from substances or alcohol or whatever. Like sometimes we're just recovering from life, right? But if someone's in a different part of their path, it gets really easy to maybe be like judgy or be complacent on like a little bit of respect or those, kind of acknowledging where those boundaries are. So I find it very intriguing that you guys had a good time pre, and now you get to have this other trajectory together. It's really cool.
Yeah, I think like what you said as well, like you still have just as much fun. It's just like it just feels a bit more authentic, you know,
Hmm.
and I think the connections you're making are more true because
Yeah.
like me and like Sia Carmen too, very extrovert, outgoing people sometimes. Because I
Hmm.
think you know introvert and extroverted can you know we're dynamic beings, so it's like depends on the day. But like when I'm connecting with people on a night out now, it's just like it's because I actually want to talk with them. It's not like just surface level stuff. And don't get me wrong, surface level conversations and small talk is fine, but like
Yeah.
now it's like there's I think what it is, I think we just reached a point where like intention is so important now to us. Like if we're saying we're gonna do something, we when we say to each other, we do it, you know, we don't try to overthink something now, we just have to do it. Because I think a lot of the time in the past we were like living in some type of mental masturbation, like all this fantasy.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to say actually, because a lot
That's
of
great.
sometimes these ideas like that we have, they're great. Not talking now just about our ideas. I mean, in general, when we have these ideas as people, they're all up in the ether, and it turns us on because we know how great they are. But rather than grounding them and bringing them down, they kind of just stay there, and then you live in this kind of little bubble because like you're just kind of like moving in the ether and moving like very flaky in a way.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
making excuses
I'm
why
making
things
excuses.
can't happen rather than finding ways that they can.
And now like yeah now we're like all right, this is idea, this is act on it. And a lot of the things we've been creating actually this year, we've released like I think nine singles in the last 2 months, which is
Oh,
pretty insane.
yeah.
And with all music videos too, and rather than like overthinking it and planning it all out and like shortlisting all the stuff like I normally would do, we just went out and let like the spontaneity of the creation happen and take its toll, tell us what to do. And that's kind of gave us this kind of confidence that we don't need to overthink. Yeah, okay, some of the stuff because of all the consistency we're doing, the quality can drop just a little, but
Yeah, of
it's
course.
helping us. It's helping us be like to let go and not maybe care about fears of the past
To finish,
and to finish. Yeah, yeah,
move
because
on.
yeah, we held ourselves back so much, like which is kind of crazy. And that's another reason why I think we met now, because our skill levels, our skill sets have kind of they're equal now. You know, I think if I would have met Carmine's a natural musician, I feel like I'm the type of one who had to kind of like really practice and train. And my creativity lies more in like film and photography and writing. But Carmine's just a straight up 100% musician. And I think if we would have met in the past, it would have been a bit different. And plus, we were getting wildly fucked up. Sorry for my language, a lot of the time. And now us meeting now, we had our yeah, Rouse, as Carmen would say, Rouse, our Rouse times.
Yeah.
And now it's like, we have our sessions 3, 4 times a week. We write, we record, we go out and film. And it's just like real proactive action mode. And to look at Carmine, I know that he's dead serious at making this happen. He can look at me and he's, I'm dead serious to happen. Yeah, there's still times where we have to like give each other space and there's like, we have to respect each other's boundaries and the schedules we have. But
Yeah.
a lot of our free time is going into this project, and it's just a good time I think to kind of like, I don't want to say, yeah, to take advantage of this energy that we have right now. And I think it's strong, you know, when the train's already moving, the momentum's going. And we're because like for a while it was kind of just like stuttering and a lot of talk, a lot of talk from all around us, from people and us. And now it's just like, no, no, hell no, like this is create. And nothing, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it's the act of creating and putting it out there and just challenging ourselves creatively
Or for
weekly.
years saying, I'm a singer, I'm a rapper, and then people like, oh, well, we're gonna listen to your stuff.
Yeah, where's your website? Yeah, yeah, that was weird. That was a weird feeling, right? Yeah, yeah,
Now I can,
yeah.
I can be so proud and say, hey, check this out, check this out, check this out,
Hmm.
and I feel like that just gives me us so much confidence. Also, just to put things out so people can like, even if they're not gonna be 100% biggest masterpieces ever, but just being consistent, putting things out. We're just proud that people can listen to our music and that it's out there. It's living its whole life out there in the universe,
Yeah,
and they're like our little children.
yeah, because it
Ah,
started off. It started off like, yo, this release every month. Like already just releasing a single every month was kind of like out of our comfort zone. Because like I remember like we would write all these songs and all these like
Half finished
half
stuff.
finished stuff, and then we're like, all right, let's actually finish it. You know, you write it's just the beginning, then you record it, then you got to get it mixed, mastered, all the feedback grounds, then the pre-production, the video, the film, and all that stuff. Like it takes so much time. And all right, we started with our first single, and then we're like every month, and then like 5 weeks after we dropped our second, then like 5 weeks after we dropped the third, and then the fourth, and in the beginning of this year, we're like, why don't we just do one every fucking week?
you guys
Every
are
week with the music
wild.
videos.
What?
And yeah.
That
yeah, and
is
we were yeah,
insane.
and we just did it, right? We just finished our. You could say technically, yeah, it's like our
Chapter season
yeah,
one.
season one is just finished. We call it Sit series, where we release a video, a single and a music video every week, and we just kind of finished our first season. And tomorrow we're releasing a short film. We
Right.
just shot last week, and
And we're gonna
that
shoot another music video this weekend.
yeah, this weekend. And so basically, like you, oh, that's a good. I had a like a bit of Sometimes like I just like start releasing word vomiting at Carmine and the team. Like we have to also respect our creative engines, you know, our tanks. So and the analogy I feel like we have right now is that we're in a plane and we're flying
Mhm.
through the air, but we're running out. We've created so much and released so much. The gas tank is gone a little like down. So now another plane's coming and we're still moving, but we're getting our gas tank filled up as we're still going. So we're now
Yeah.
taking this kind of creative
We're still
it's
gliding though.
yeah, still
We're
gliding.
still
Yeah,
gliding.
still gliding. So now we're like just taking this. So we have these two videos this week, and then next week we start writing again. We bank up for season two, and then we start releasing. We have a single in 2 weeks, and then pretty much after that every week again. So we're testing ourselves because like I remember my mom said to me, "How can like these artists like Bob Marley write all these great hits?" I'm like, "Because they're constantly writing. Like they're
Yeah.
constantly writing." And I watched this
Thousands and
yeah,
thousands of
thousands.
songs,
Like
man. Tens of
yeah,
thousands of
I
songs.
watched this amazing documentary on Prince where like he had a vault, an actual vault full of songs. Like you know, back in the day, it was like physical copies, and there's thousands of them,
Mhm.
thousands and thousands. And like, he would go into a studio and like blitz out 4 or 5 songs in one go, and even the engineers were just like hard to keep up with him. And his thing was like he'd write it, record it, and boom, next one. And he didn't even think about like it being perfect. He just said the rawness of it coming out was the art itself.
Being
And
present as an artist.
yeah, and Carmen's always often telling me like just first take raw performance, get it out there. Of course, like it's not always the best, the raw first performance. If we have time to make it a little better for sure, but we're getting in this habit now of just like trusting what's
I
coming
was
out.
just
And
gonna
then
say
yeah.
trusting the content that you're putting out. Okay, yeah,
Hmm.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I was like,
Mm,
"Oh, that's such a
that's
cool
fine.
thing to be happening," like, and to be able to
Mm,
trust each other in that way and being like, "Okay, yeah, if this plane is still gonna keep going, like, when to sit back and relax and allow the consumers to take it in a little bit, and then where to kind of, like, hit the" I don't know why I keep saying hit the gas, as I've never said this in my whole time of podcasting, but I keep, like, having this weird, like, "Yeah, you gotta, like, pump the gas here more," whatever. But
well,
anyways,
that's kind of like what
um
we are now. Like, yeah, we're
yeah,
literally doing that. Like,
yeah, that's really neat. And
it
then,
is
I
right
mean,
now.
what a perfect marriage, if you don't mind me saying. Like, if
For
one,
sure.
to be like a natural talent, a natural musician, and to be comfortable in that space, and then to have the other person who is into like, videography and the process, which are both like equally as important. Because if you had two people
For
who
sure.
were
For sure.
whimsical and musicians, a lot of things don't end up actually take form in a practical way. And I know you talked about that a little bit with just like the partying a little bit, but even just like the
Hmm.
personalities, right? You guys it can get a little bit like too whimsy and a bit too casual. So it's nice to see like, that pairing of personalities where you guys come together. I think it's so awesome. I don't even mean to be like so casual about it, but I love to hear when like nothing is forced and you guys are just going through the motions, and then we as the consumer get to enjoy the byproduct of that. And I guess arts and culture naturally produces that, but also to know that like you don't have to be like the ideal. We don't have to fit into a box. We don't have to like grow up together. We don't have to necessarily play in a garage band. Like,
Hmm.
these relationships can kind of form like just out of nowhere, and just being like, "Hey, you're doing this, like, well, I'm doing this and we should do this
Yeah.
together." Yeah, it's really cool because especially in the atmosphere today, like no one really trusts each other like that, or everyone
Yeah.
is so
We're living in Vienna where it's like also a little extra harder to make friends. So, but sorry. Yeah.
Well, especially for us, I'm German, but I still have this weird psychological phenomenon that I don't relate as well to German speaking people that I do to English speaking people. I think it's something to do with my father and my upbringing in Germany. Um,
right.
it is hard. It is harder to. I mean,
Y-
Austrians and Viennese people, I feel like are a little bit more closed up as far as I'm going. Is like you go to the UK or even Canada or the US, and you're always going to have like little interaction with people. You say good morning, how are you doing? These people, it's not really the same here. You say
Mhm.
hi, how are you doing to someone on the street. They're going to look at you like, what's wrong with you? Like, who are you? What do you want from me?
So I think that's why we like appreciate like the fact that we have kind of like just organically clicked, and I think like the act of making friends is sometimes more beautiful than keeping a friendship alive, if that makes any
Mm,
sense. Like the
totally.
little things that gradually build the trust of one another. And yeah, trust can be broken and friendships can be lost or changed, but the whole point is like when you do meet someone, you're like, oh shit, this guy is my bro,
Yeah.
and yeah, we're gonna something great gonna happen. You can feel it. And some friendships stand the test of time. So
Yeah.
some get tested, and sometimes they need pauses and space. And I think what we're learning too together, me and Carmen, is having the boundaries, having the trust, like you were saying, and
Mhm.
also just knowing that we're on this journey together to create and to grow. Yeah, yeah. And technically the goal, yeah, we have a goal of like just performing all the time and inspiring, but I think it's the process right now that's really keeping our cylinders going. It's just like because we're really trying now to like get out our comfort zones, because in the past there was like, maybe I wasn't even aware of the excuses and like the limitations we were putting on ourselves. And like, and now it's just like, what's a good way of overcoming perfectionism? Fucking release a song every
Mm,
single
yeah.
week with a video. Just put it out there. Like if
In the
anyone's gonna,
past, that's
yeah,
what it would have been like taking 2,000 takes in the studio with the mic, and then
sometimes a month from one
and then
song.
oh,
Like,
it's
what
not
a-
right, it's not perfect, it's
yeah,
not perfect. My voice here, I don't like it. And what happened in the end is then the end product would sound more manufactured and more fabricated than
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe the first couple takes, because in
hmm,
those first couple takes you're present, and that's what people connect people to music is just that live performance when you only
Yeah.
have one take, and the artist in that moment is so present with their emotions, with their performance.
yeah. I think you do that really well, actually, Carmen.
And that's where it's like I try, and we try to channel that when we record
Mhm.
as well. To you to just be so present with what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what you're writing about, and put that on there. So other people that listen can relate to that. And I felt like the more I was overthinking, the more I was like changing around little things,
Yeah,
tinkering with my voice. I would lose that essence more and more.
Well, and
Uh,
it's like full on
up close.
exposure therapy, right? Like it's like we're
yeah,
just
yeah. True.
gonna,
I didn't think of it like that. Yeah, it is pure
yeah.
exposure therapy. Yeah, yeah. Just get it. And another thing I wanted to touch on before we maybe shift away from the friendship connection
Hmm.
thing, it's like now that we're kind of like a bit more like, yeah, present with the vision, we started to meet more like-minded people in this space, like of other artists, and starting to surround ourselves with people on the similar paths. And that's really cool too, how the universe opens, or life presents the people that you kind of need or supposed to meet, and you might have met them in the past, and there might have been something, but now it seems like,
People that are better than us.
yeah, better. That's the
When we
most
look up,
important thing. Yeah, yeah, being better, surrounding yourself with better people that inspire you, and like, damn, like the last few months being around certain people and just doing our thing, the amount of stuff that has been coming out of us. I think. Oh yeah, I think we've, as any art people in general, we should be hyper aware of who we surround ourselves with, and
Right.
the environment we in, because
it's not
that
always easy.
it's not easy, no, but that seriously can affect us. And I think, and sometimes that's why it's good to step back a little bit, um, from certain scenes, to kind of like rekindle the relationship with yourself, get clear on who we are and who we want to be and the people we want to be around, and then just go out and be proactive. That's another thing I wanted to touch on. Yeah, and like, I'm not gonna say it's hard to make friends, but you do have to be proactive here to kind of like go find new social circles and ask people if they want to go out. To you literally ask strangers like, yo, what's up, brother?
But also, and if you don't speak
Then
German, obviously
yeah,
you're not
yeah, yeah.
gonna be around with.
Right.
Yeah, so it's just like, I think again, like we're kind of like, just the main thing we want to try and maybe convey to the audience here is the best thing to do is just step by step get out the comfort zone, and just
Not sleep in our shine. That's
yeah,
what it's all
yeah, no
about.
sleep in the shine. So
I was
sleeping
just
in the
gonna
shine.
say,
Yeah,
yeah, man, what a cool name. And I can only imagine why you got to that, but I mean, it just immediately brings you to that place where you're like you feel the warmth, right? Like it doesn't matter what that light is, that
hmm,
feeling, like whether it's like a mother's love or the sunshine or,
mm,
comfort or contentment or whatever, but to like have that warmth near you while you sleep. Like, I just think as soon as I read it, I was just like, oh, that's freaking cool. Like, I know exactly
Yeah,
what that feels like, you know. And there's enough times in my life where I definitely haven't had that. And so maybe
sure.
even more so, the the juxtaposition of it is more jarring, right? So it's like it's
Mm,
polite and nice and lovely and it conveys a nice thing, but when you think of it, like, if you don't have that, it means you need to switch some shit up in your life and
yeah.
figure it out, right? And so I think it's just a fantastic name. um
Took us a
yeah.
year to get it though.
Yeah, it did. We
Right.
and
Took
that
us a while.
classic thing, like let's call them this, and then we actually had this. We had a day where we took a hike, and four friends of ours had to endure like
6 hours
six
of
hours
just
of
calling
us
different
going
band
through like
names.
random band
We
names.
were called Nipple Soup for like 4 days,
Was
no, a
very
week. That was like, because I just pictured like little nipples floating in a soup or a cereal bowl, and we were like,
Nipple
that's
soup.
it.
so
Yeah.
I came up with that day. We unfortunately we did not go
But
ahead.
but when it clicked, like, I remember I was like, I think I was working. We just had a phone call and it was just like, yeah, sleep and shine, and then whoa, what happened there? And sometimes you just there's like a bit of
Okay,
a
we can tell you what the story. It's we had the first gig that we played together was actually I was a feature in the show that he was playing with his band, the EP release party.
ah yeah.
And before the show, this was still during the party drinking beers.
Mhm.
A friend of ours came up to me and he's like, "Carmine, bro, let's take a line of cocaine in the bathroom and you will shine."
You'll be shining, bro. You'll be shining.
I'm good. I don't think I'll be shining.
No. Oh my God.
I don't think it'll be a good performance.
Yeah,
He's like, "No,
cocaine's
bro,
not
you'll
a.
be shining, bro." And I'm like, nah. And
That's funny.
we had a couple of friends as well that would like sleep notoriously long through the day. They would sleep until, I don't know, 3, 4 p.m. and we were just thinking sleep. And then there was a friend that was sleeping a lot. There was this friend that was telling us, we would be shining on stage and we're doing coke.
So I think it first started just the two words sounding good together, and then like as soon as we said the two words, like let's sleep in the shine, it like something like clicked, and then like the meaning was like birthed. It was like, whoa, this is such a deeper meaning because like
Totally.
it really represents us, like what Carmen just said about the people, because that is us too, like the sleeping physically also manifests to us like mentally, yeah, sleeping in yeah, a lot of us are asleep, a lot of us die before we die, like a lot of us are walking shells, or a lot of us are like automatic or autopilot, and it's like it's kind of like our mission to kind of like wait, like awake, be awake, like it sounds a little cheesy, but
No.
to me it's deep shit,
The
man.
amount of teachers,
Yeah.
the amount of teachers and mentors I had back when I was in music school in Berlin, I was always able to do like performances very well without really practicing or without really doing much work on my voice to impress people. But I would always be irresponsible, late, and people could not rely. I was unreliable. And the amount of teachers and mentors that came up to me or would call me out in front of the class and be like, "Hey, you need to step into your shine. You cannot."
Yeah.
Oh, they would say that.
They said it
Oh,
like
I love that.
so often. They'd be like,
Wow.
"It's like you're gifted a cake for your birthday and you're just deciding to throw it on the floor, or you're not." Like the amount of times they were like, "You have this talent, but you're not using it." And I have a lot of friends. He was telling me, I have a lot of friends that are just like you, who were so talented when they were younger,
Yeah.
but they never realized their potential, and they have cool lives, but they didn't go the direction that they wanted to, and there's still something missing there for them. And I really hope that doesn't happen to you. And it took me so many years to understand and to realize what they meant. And back in the day, I was drinking a lot, making a lot of excuses. And now's the time where finally this project, Sleep in the Shine, that I feel like it's go, work.
Yeah, I think we were like sorry to like stop you there. Like,
It's okay. I'm like,
go.
I was just
So,
gonna I was gonna say my grandpa says this thing and he goes, you like he calls, you say like you're lazy. Like, you're being
Mm.
lazy. I'm like, I'm not being lazy. I'm sweating all day. Freaking, what are you
Mm.
talking about? And he's just like, no, you're
I
being
got
lazy.
6
I'm like,
horses to maintain.
yeah, so what do you mean I'm being lazy?
Yeah.
Like, and he's just like, but you're being lazy, like, with, like, just because you have this talent or just because you have this skill doesn't mean that you're utilizing it properly. And that's what it was reminding me of when you're talking about it. It's like, how many people have these beautiful, you know, gifts or these beautiful talents or skills, and then it just like we get comfortable in that skill. We're like, well, we always have
Yeah.
it, right? And it's not going anywhere, but we kind of cap ourselves just because we're not, like, you know, pushing it into that uncomfortable place, or even just being punctual. Like, I am chronically not punctual, chronically
I'm
late
very
for
punctual.
things, right? But it's amazing, like, just setting yourself up for success, what that changes in the
Mm.
skills that you have, like, whether it directly relates to it or not. It's like, if you're always 15 minutes early or half an hour early to something, it gives you that time to, like,
Mm.
decompress and, you know,
Mm.
whatever, if it's singing,
Yeah.
and, like, you know, relax your vocals or warm up or whatever. And I think people take that for granted so much, especially when they're
For sure.
comfortable
For
in the
sure.
skill that they have. So, you know, shout out to your mentors for snapping you back into it and giving you, you know, a little bit of something to live for, and ultimately create for a name for your guys's, you know, setup. Like, that's so funny. Not to make it all about me, but my dad, actually, who's it's his birthday today, so shout out to Papa
Happy
Campbell.
birthday, Dad. Yeah.
Yeah. But he told me something when I was a kid, and he's like, you know, it's like the junk drawer effect or whatever. Like, when you're trying to name a band, you just go to the junk drawer and pull it, shake it a bit, pull it, and then, like, the first couple of things that kind of come to the front, that's what you call the band, whatever that is, whether it's like Jack Crayon, you know, whatever. And I always thought that was so funny. So I find it always interesting when people, you know, have a backstory to their name, because it can be something so simple, as finding something, I suppose, in a junk drawer, or something so meaningful that, you know, Sleep in the Shine, like, that can be. When I heard it, I immediately thought of, like, you know, people who are unhoused, who are going through the harshest day of their life or whatever. But when you have that, like, warmth of the day come across, everything doesn't seem so hard to deal with, right? And it doesn't even have to be that crazy. Like, it can just be like,
Mm.
you know, when you're kind of going through something and somebody shows up and gives you that little bit of warmth, and you're like, okay, I got this little bit of support, now I can kind of get my shit together and move on. And so, yeah, I dig it, guys. I dig it. Sleep in the Shine.
Thank you.
Yeah, I
Thank
think as
you.
well, like, sometimes, you know, you write lyrics, like, or just write, and then it's only after, you know, when
Mhm.
you realize the meaning you unconsciously were conveying it. And, like, there's a few times I'm like, shit, that actually means something. I think the same thing happened with the name.
Oh, for sure.
And again, like, these little happy accidents, you could say, or intentional mistakes. They
Yeah.
kind of like the trust of, like, the creation of the music tells us what to write, actually, half the time. Like, it plays the beat, send the producer, and it tells us what to write. We don't really have to do anything. We just kind of, like, connect to some past and move forward. And
I feel like it's floating in the air. There's the ideas and the lyrics and the songs are there. We
yeah,
just have to. We're almost like fishermen, song fishermen.
yes,
We have to, like, you know, we have to unlock something inside of us to be able to our intuition pick up on these like ghosts whispers almost.
yeah. And I think maybe it's sometimes like you have to catch like seven to get to the good one.
True.
And that's why we want to. Because, like, we could easily release some songs like this that are not as good as our singles. Because I've had feedback from someone like, "Oh, your singles are super shine." I'm like, bro, you're not getting this. You're not quite getting what we're doing here. We're getting out these songs that help us get over the exposure payments, you say.
Mhm.
And also to kind of, like, get, because our writing is something, but then to release something is also, like, quite a big step. It's also a sign of things, the universe, that your influence stuff out there. And I think just the act of consistency gets you closer to some pure art. Don't get me wrong, we're still making very intentional stuff, but our singles is where we kind of go deeper into the conceptualizing of it all. But again, I don't want to limit ourselves. Maybe the new stuff that we start being consistent.
I think there's some great stuff in that, man.
Get even deeper too. So the point is, we get caught up in, like, oh, everything has to be so perfect. And maybe I'm repeating myself now, but, like, I think just really, I think another main thing of this podcast is, like, trusting the process. trusting ourselves, trusting the unknown. Because like I think for a long time, me and you, we were like knowing we can actually do this. This is not just something that's within ourselves. And then, but for many years, kind of neglecting it.
For sure.
I personally feel like I was kind of good as a musician. Like not that long ago, 3 years ago, I still didn't really do much about it. I actually wanted to release rules for over 2 years. I never did, and now it's like every week, which is like a little goal I really achieved. But what I want to say is like we don't know how it's gonna unfold, or like the act of doing it, the trust in us, the train of thought. But one moment is
The act of doing it is
yeah
the act of doing it.
trusting. Wait, give me a second.
Well, first of all, I think, did you guys switch earbuds? It's so funny because there must be one microphone to both earbuds, and not to like take away from what you just said.
I think it's on one of these ones.
You need to speak into my ear. Yeah.
Because one, you guys, it's like when you went like this, I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. There must only be one. But anyways, aside from that, I cannot count the amount of times that people have sat on that side and had told me that they are either using their antenna to tap into all the information above them, or that, there is some sort of like, universe of I use the word arts and culture, the term arts and culture, because obviously, creativity can go far and wide, and it must be part of like the art of storytelling, and also like, passed down, passed down, I was gonna say rules and regulations, but like passed down, what the heck word am I looking through? In culture, when like,
it's like it's passed on.
Oh my goodness. Anyways, but they describe like this body of information that they're utilizing to get these songs from, or that they're getting, the idea behind their painting. And I find it so interesting because it's been, I don't even know how many episodes we've done, maybe 80. And I would say probably 75 out of those 80. We've had, a beautiful artist or musician sit there and say the same thing. And so whatever you guys are experiencing to get you to this place, I find it, not whether it's just like you guys describing that as an idea, or because that's just the feeling that it feels like, or, in your subconscious, that's what, if you were to describe it, that's what it would seem like. But I just think it's really interesting that everybody has the same story behind it, and that we're able to kind of like all, whoever created the first movie or the first song, and then, on a different continent created the first, movie or first song, and so on and so forth. I find it interesting that they're pulling from the same sort of space, or the same sort of place.
Like it's like you have an idea around the same time. You see maybe a week or two later, it's a single or a video or something. It's like they've actually acted on that idea that was like flipping around on us, and it's like, so that's why I think it's good to be fast, because sometimes like the quickness can capture the idea and get it out.
And also then also speaking about it, all these people all these artists have done in the past, also to speak about, the humility and the thankfulness one should have for the past masters that have done it before us. And that, we're the forefathers, let's say, of the art, and we're always constantly pulling out inspiration from other art, and from that we're pulling inspiration from other art. And I feel like that's such a beautiful thing, that to realize where music comes from, where the music you do comes from, and to be aware of that, and to be grateful and humble, and to be a student of the craft. I think it's so important.
Yeah, absolutely. A student of the craft. And like to be like, I'm not sure where all this is going to go, but to be able to offer that music out there to the world, and then have other people utilize it, manipulate it, and create projects from it. And I always thought like the artist sampling was so interesting, because not only did it keep the story going, I find it always so aging and funny when my kids come to me and they're like, oh, have you heard this song? And I'm like, it was a sample even when I was a kid. Like, let me show you the original one, and then I'll show you the one that Grandpa showed me, because the song goes back, probably 90 years or something like that. But to be a part of that process and to create little, projects that potentially could be that for somebody else, I just, it must be such a, I guess humble is the word, right? Because it's just like this, yeah. What a cool thing.
It's just so
Obviously,
beautiful. So
mm-hmm,
beautiful.
yeah, absolutely. What I guess is your guys' goals? Like, it's easy for you guys to put a it's easy for you guys to put up projects. That's no big deal. No, that's not what I was trying to say. It's easy for us to see what you've been doing because you're putting up projects. But do you guys have some short-term and long-term goals?
Play more live shows.
Yeah, we just
Yeah.
want to like. So I think um, rather than putting something on a pedestal and giving it too much like authority over us, like or like to attach ourselves too much to an outcome, it's more
Mhm.
about like one thing at a time and like just performing. Like
Yeah.
really now, because we think we're just to be present. But seeing us live and performing for people is a whole different form of energy. So I think just
Because what we write about is it's so deep rooted in our psyche, in our traumas, in our it's very deep for what we write about, and I just really want to put that out there and perform that, and because I feel like that music lives on the stage,
Mhm.
and it should live on the stage, and that's our biggest goal right now is just to be able to perform what we write and to be 100% present in that moment and to like go to the second part of that therapy. The first is writing it,
yeah,
recording it,
Yeah.
and then the second part is actually performing it,
true.
and to to relive those emotions in that moment. I think it's something so powerful, and to give that to the audience as well and to share that. That's always been my home. The stage has always been my happy place, so to say. I feel like I can be my truest self, my
Very cool.
truest form on stage.
True that. Yeah, one man's a beacon. No, I think the secondly another goal is just to really challenge ourselves creatively.
Yeah,
Like like
put out more beautiful videos, more
just
beautiful music.
really dive into this. That's what I wanted to say earlier when I lost my train of thought was it's like, wow, we held ourselves back. Now I'm willing personally
I'm here.
to actually sacrifice a lot of things
Yeah.
to devote ourselves to this because like I'm a freelance filmmaker and I've been doing like a lot of projects and kind of like living as a freelancer now for 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
Don't get me wrong, like I've done some cool stuff, but like I'm like actually a lot of it hasn't been art, to some extent. And like I want to now see what happens when I only devote myself to that true art of my
Yes.
heart. That sounds cheesy, but it's a true heart and I really want to express it. Maybe because a lot of the client stuff I can't express like what I truly want.
This is a grid you have to work by.
Yeah, so I'm gonna like
Yeah.
I've actually now I've made a decision on myself. I'm probably just because like I'm like you know what? Okay, I'm gonna just get a regular job part time, and I don't have to think to run that.
That's what I'm doing too.
And then just all my waking hours, like live, breathe, shit, eat, just music, film, art, acting, all of it, and just see what happens over the next year or two. Because I truly believe if you do like really commit and you give everything you have, if you do want clients and projects, those clients and projects that you actually want to do will come to you because you're creating what you truly want to create. Like so, it's just like there's the uncertainty of being an artist, right? But I think if you really deeply devote yourself to it, then you will find you'll find the path, you'll find a voice. And I think now, like another reason why we're together is like the accumulation of our skills are kind of like matching now. So now it's just like let's see what happens. These skill sets and these experiences we've gained. Let's see what happens when we can translate that into art. And I truly believe there's a path there, like performing and to be all on artists. I think we can really inspire. And I don't want to sound cocky because it's just I have a voice in my head. Maybe I'm delusional. I probably am. But I think if it's telling me now to do this, and usually I have to fight with my ego. And I say, no, you're a filmmaker, and you can't be working a regular job. You have an ambition, and I'm like, and now I realized, no, listen to that voice because the true ambition, the true art is actually devoting yourself to your calling, and jobs, money, all of that would always be there. But age, energy, and time doesn't wait for anyone.
That's right.
So this is now that time to kind of like go 100%, and if not go 110. Yeah.
I think you just said maybe one of the most important things that has ever been said on this show. And first of all, I want to say congratulations to being able to be a freelance anything and survive out there for 4 years. That, first of all, is a massive testament to your skill, talent, and tenacity. But aside from that, once you start making money from what you're doing, right, then you're right, it takes away from the authenticity of what you're trying to do. So I can see how you can't put your spin on a somebody's whatever wedding is maybe not the best example, but obviously, like, if you're doing projects for other people. But when you said we're going to work regular jobs that I don't have to think, and then I can devote my extra time to what we're doing with Sleep in the Shine, like, I mean, like, say it louder and for the people in the back, because people are like, I got to make money from this. I got to be able to do this so hard that it generates money, that we got to pay the bills, blah, blah. Okay, but hold on, because if you got the bills paid and you got that part taken care of and you don't have to stress about where that money is coming from, then it completely opens up all of this space in your mind to be able to create without consequence. And
And it's
yeah.
expensive, man. Like all that
Mhm.
recording, the mixing, the mastering, the put. I mean, luckily, with the videos, we have that covered. But like,
Yeah, right.
just recording and putting songs out there and advertising these things, those cost money, and the money has to come from somewhere. And yeah, we're both doing that. I'm also working a bar job, and I actually swore to myself I would never work in a restaurant or a bar again. But now I realize I'm doing this for the art, for the music, and it's yeah. Thank you, Nikki.
Shout out to Nick. I love it.
Yeah.
It's a
What's the name
beautiful
of your
dog.
dog?
Shout out to everybody that's in the comments, actually. Jordan,
Oh, I
Cal.
didn't see the comments.
Yeah, you know what? And I'm super bad for this. And I'll tell you why. Because a lot of people go in and they're like, oh, so and so and so and so. And we do that, usually on Thursdays, and we try to open up the stage for the beautiful people in the comments. But we kind of stopped doing it just because it can take away from the initial story. But we're getting towards the end. And Nikki's comment was beautiful. And so not often do I
Thank you,
share them, but
Nikki.
yeah, absolutely.
What we were just touching on there is like um,
Art is the art and
like
creation.
really
Yeah.
like freeing up the mental space. Because
Hmm.
like if necessities are covered, like very fortunately, this city Vienna like is a kind of a blessing for us. It's like a creative haven because it's not for a capital city. It's technically not that expensive, and the quality of life is good. And I think
Oh,
with our past experiences of from Berlin and from Bristol, we can take all of that rawness and edginess that you would never find maybe in Vienna. We can find this place where we can create a bit more freely and like yeah, to have this mental space, to have everything covered, and then just to like just only think of like the art is like I now see. In the past I was too insecure to go dependent on some form of security that I couldn't allow myself to believe. But now I
yeah.
know like all right, actually this is the path. Because all of us, some people can work for people. I actually can't. I'm the worst worker if I don't have a passion for it. I have to have
Same
a
here.
passion. So I realized that
Yeah.
if I want to do something like passionately, it has to be like art projects, and it has to like I want to create art for art, not to make the money. Money can come
Totally.
plus the money. I like I don't want anyone to tell me that my ideas are too weird or like I wouldn't fit in this
Yeah.
niche or whatever. Fuck that, man. Like people are gonna come to us, to me, for projects because they like our style, they like our concepts. And but the point is just like yeah, letting go of that like need of security is such a big, like that sounds good as well, but like to let go of some form of identity there, like I have to portray myself as this kind of person, like catching these little moments of the ego, like shut up, man, like who am I? Who are you, dude? Like just do what feels right for you, and like we're so like conditioned from society to behave a certain way, to act certain to react certain way. I'd rather respond than react, And I think Sleep in the
Yeah.
Shadow is trying to respond with
authenticity and like intention. Like,
And take away that pressure with thinking, I need to live off this, and if I don't live out this, my life is a failure, and my whole life I've worked to that. And like I really used to think that way. Like I mean, I guess just I mean it's easy as a teenager, to get sucked into that illusion of what a rock star is. You're touring the world, you're partying, you have all the women, all this. It only only since a couple years do I realize first and foremost it's about the art creating, and putting what's in here out on paper, out onto song. That's the most important thing. And to perform it as well, that's also beautiful, and that's, like I said before, that's where I flourish the most. But everything else comes second. Like for me, it's just to be able to write, to be able to create with Alex, and to put out there into the world what we believe in and what has helped us and shaped us as people. That's just, it's been such a beautiful, beautiful experience.
we still have to like have a balance, right, and have moderation. We still have
Yeah.
our lives to live, but we just have to be kind of aware where we put our time and our energy. And it's like I think there was something we could touch on again. Is just like when you want to make changes, it just start with the first step. Get your sleep right. Get your sleep right. Get like what habits are like creating resistance and all that. For me, it was drinking. Even if
Yeah.
it was just I was getting my dopamine fix from drinking, and now I get my dopamine from creating. So
Yeah.
my brain is now kind of restricted itself in that way. And then the next one is just like exercise. It sounds super basic, but like just getting those things
Essential, man.
essential. And then like still having a support system. Yeah, sometimes you have to step away from some people, they step away from you. The point is like it's about, okay, who am I surrounding myself with? Where do I want to go? Who will I become? What are the little things I can control right now? Some of my certain things that are going to take me to the next step. And just kind of reminding myself when I sleep, who am I? Who am I becoming? And wake up and I'm thinking of who I'm becoming. Or actually programming my mind, because I did a lot of this type of stuff I've worked in the past. So I kind of have to. And like we have a lot more control than we think. We put a lot of our energy into things we can't control. That weakens us. And then we put expectations on ourselves that false identities and egos, and that creates resistance. So then that also like blocks the creativity. So I'm at this point of just saying, fuck it. I'm just creating. I'm just creating. I kind of figured out who I am. I'm going to figure out the rest of it on the way. You don't need to figure it all out before I get there. I don't need technically a website to go to clients. I will listen to a website.
Just let our mind,
it does help on the website.
just let our minds be free and
just going out there, actively creating. Like, it's cool because our neighbor, like just my neighbor, is a great artist called Harry Lewis. Just moved in, and we're starting to work more with him now. And like the point is like when you see other professionals that are really good and how they work, it's just inspiring.
for sure.
And like now like I'm especially trying to just, if I have free time, which is very rare, is that I want to sit down with people that like feed my brain, give my soul some nourishment, and then I can take that and apply it into the art. Because again, but I don't want to get too obsessive about all this shit, but like I still have to have a balance, Still, I still want to meet some women. I still want to go on dates and stuff. But right now, I'm not really doing that because I know this sexual energy, this energy within me, wants to be poured into this art and like sitting down and having conversations with some people that are not really on the same path. Don't get me wrong. It's still beautiful to have these spontaneous conversations. But right now, it's just like I've seen how surrounding myself with certain people really does, without even being aware of it, takes from us. And again, like. It's just, I guess, all of it needs to come in moderation. And sometimes, actually, most of the time, we have to just get out our own way. Just get out our own way. Just that's it. Just get out your own way. The rest kind of like.
Yeah, it's interesting when you're saying that. I think that it's really hard to say it sometimes, but it's a very fair thing to say that when you're around people that aren't on the same trajectory or wavelength or don't have the same kind of neuroticism might be too hard of a word, but you almost become obsessive, right? When you're in the middle of like creating, especially something as big as music, because there's so many ways that you can go with that, right? It's not like a film where you start and end it and when it's done. But to even just be around people that you're having those kind of surface conversations, it's almost soul sucking, because you're like, I would rather have a conversation with somebody who is artsy, quote unquote artsy, having two conversations near each other than having an interactive conversation with somebody who is uninterested in anything else but the surface. And so yeah, I think surrounding yourselves with people who are also like, you know, immersed in whatever it is that they're doing is so important, because yeah, how
I just
quickly.
sorry to interrupt. I just had to flip it.
Yeah.
We have to also keep ourselves in check because, like, I'm sorry. As I was saying that, I felt like, yeah, this is the right thing to do. Sometimes we need to do things that are completely off the path, off the art, because your brain needs a moment to kind of like process all the information. So maybe doing like appreciate the random occurrences that happen with people, because there is something in these conversations or these experiences that are off related, not related, can like spark a new idea. So like I guess it's staying in this childlike sponge attitude and then giving yourself time to kind of like not do anything and just kind of
Yeah, that's why I need fishing. That's why we're like, I think being in the outdoors for me, nature has always been such a catalyst for creativity, and spirituality. I'm not necessarily the most spiritual person, but the one place where I feel the biggest spiritual connection is in the outdoors, be it by the water, by the river,
Yeah.
or on stage when I'm making music. That the communication that you have with other musicians in a jam session or on the stage, that for me is like such a true form of communication, like a very deep and almost like inherent form of, yeah, of communication, and a common language that we all share, the the music.
sit around the campfire, sharing
Yeah.
stories, like getting back to the roots. Like society so like distracts us. Fuck man, I'm so distracted, and it's just catching yourself like to
So
sit now being with you is beautiful because we're sat here, right? It's really intentional conversation. We're sat on the floor, we're not assumptions at all. And like just like this is nice for us too, like we try to do these things from culture and so we don't make music, we just watch films. It's from our
Mhm.
culture. Obviously we're super busy, so they don't have as frequent as they should or should whatever. But like
we would like
we
to.
still yeah,
Right.
we still like you gotta give yourself. You can't always be go. Go. And we have to remind ourselves, like, yo, bro, I need just a break. I'm gonna have a soul session. I'm gonna go fishing.
Yeah,
It's
and
just these moments that probably this is what you need to get that great idea. Or
I used to sing to the fish I
Ah,
always thought that I would sing to them and think that's that now I'm gonna get a bite because that, and then my mind would start like going like creating these melodies. I was really young when I did this. I don't do it as much anymore. Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna sing now, and then let's see if we're gonna catch more fish when I sing. I told myself that I caught more fish when I was singing to them.
we
But
used to dance them onto the boat all the time. And you know what? All the old boys used to think we were totally nuts, two chicks out fishing all the time, but we used to slay. And I'm sure that there's a part of like the rhythm or even just the energy that you're putting in there. I mean, you're in a massive body of water. How can it not have
yeah,
some sort of
they're
effect?
definitely attracted to it. I mean, for sure they'll hear
Yeah.
it. They'll notice something's going on, and if it's like something that intrigues them, why not, right? They'll be like, "Ooh, what's going on?"
Probably certain notes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They would have
these are
to
nice
look like
frequencies. Ooh,
Yeah,
yeah.
totally. Oh, that's so beautiful. I miss fishing so much. I guess, you know what? You guys reminded me though that I don't have to be on the West Coast in order to do it. So I'm gonna have to go and peek around in the Rocky Mountains or even Saskatchewan apparently to go fish pike. Was it pike? Yeah.
Yeah, the lakes,
Yeah.
a lot of walleye in those
Walleye.
lakes.
Yeah. I'm gonna
Yeah,
have to go check that out for sure. You guys, it was such a pleasure having you both on here. We appreciate it
thank
so
you.
much. Honestly, you guys obviously have an open invitation anytime. Calico couldn't say enough great things, and I was really intrigued because it's not often that I have no
Thank you,
idea what I'm.
Calico,
Yeah,
and
no,
shout out
absolutely.
to DJ Lion too.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's her son, right? Yeah,
yes,
so cool.
it's so cool, like meeting through these social media platforms, people from different sides of the ocean, different sides of the world, and like just to get that raw support from Calico. Like, we don't know her. She's only
Just
from our music.
out of the blue, emailed
And like
us. It was
like of
beautiful.
course it's easy to like and comment, but I felt that there was true authenticity behind those likes and comments. And obviously we're excited now because of Calico. So thank you so much for that. And
Thank you,
yeah.
again,
Calico.
that's why you just got to put yourself out there, right? Because you never know who you're gonna like stumble upon, who's gonna reach into.
Look,
Like, sometimes we have these conversations like, "Yo, what's the point in outreach into radios if they're not gonna play or read it?" I'm like, sometimes it just takes one listener and have someone. So it's just like staying consistent, I guess, is what we're trying to do.
Isn't that so freaking cool to think that you guys put out some music? I mean, obviously we know how we got here, but yeah, like as you're saying it, I'm like, it is really remarkable that you guys put out some music and then this random chick on the West Coast heard it and then she's, submitted it into like an email, was like, hey, you got to check this out. And before you know it, all of a sudden, like, this random outreach company is like promoting it, promoting you guys it's really neat. I love that. I think that if the internet is good for something, it's definitely information and connection and community. So yeah, totally, it's very cool.
No, thank you so much.
Yeah, this has been so great, Felicia. Thank you.
And I guess having these conversations, when we're communicating to one another, we're also communicating for ourselves, like our consciousness coming out. So it's like, I think that also more awareness into this project too. So thank you for allowing more shine into us, yeah.
Hopefully, we'll be in Alberta, and we'll hopefully be in Alberta, the west coast
Yeah.
of Canada soon.
Yes. Keep us posted. We want to know. I definitely will be out to check you guys out. I know Calico's in the comments, just like the connection is real, guys. So I'm sure she'll have a whole band of people to come and check you out in BC. And please let this not be the last time we talk. We obviously want to know what's going on. So, in a few months, we'll have to do like a part 2 and see what's happening. We'll highlight some videos and kick it for another
We would
hour.
love that.
Awesome.
We would absolutely love that.
Anyone like
wonderful.
Just check our Instagram on Sleep and Shine, and we're gonna we're active now. We've got a short term coming tomorrow, and it's just like we're doing this for you guys, and it's just the beginning. We feel, regardless of this, a minute on this planet where we feel like this is now the start. So let's fucking do it together.
It's go time.
Yeah, it's go time. Yeah, for everybody that's in the comment section, you guys go ahead. The link tree is actually Calico is going to post it, and I think we just hit the link tree. It doesn't matter. We'll hit them all in there so everybody can go and check them out. Please do not hesitate. Do not sleep on Sleep in the Shine. They're absolutely amazing. Take the time, go listen, like, share, play, subscribe, send their music further around the world, because that's how we need to be able to support each other. It doesn't cost anything but a couple of seconds of your time. And although that we don't take any of that for granted, we would appreciate if you guys did that. The other thing too that I'm going to quickly say before we get out of here, #988 is the suicide hotline. Sorry, didn't mean to take it like straight to the serious stuff, but it's super important. It is springtime. The numbers, the calls that we've been getting into the warm line do go up. And so I would imagine that the suicide hotline is the exact same. So you guys, please do not hesitate. Reach out to each other, reach out to your friends. If you haven't talked to somebody in a little while, let them know you care. As DJ Olga would say, pew, pew, pew into the comments. It takes 2 seconds to send somebody a text or give them a call or whatever you got to do. So #988 is the suicide hotline, and the Pinecase warm line is 250-289-3948. Again, that's 250-289-3948. And we have volunteers that run that line 24/7. They're always there. We don't care if you want to talk about your crazy wife or your dog that just got hit or whatever. All of your stuff is serious to us. So please don't go. Please don't go. Please don't go. No, please come towards us. Come over here and let us know what we can do for you guys. So thank you, everybody who tuned in. Thank you so much, Sleep in the Shine, for hanging out with us tonight. And we'll see you next Tuesday.
I just wanted to say one last thing.
Oh, of course.
Listen, 3 weeks ago, I lost one of my best friends from suicide. So it's real. So please, you do if someone's in a bit of pain, just reach out, because don't think people are gonna die. Are such a big spirit and deep love. So Steve, whatever, I love you forever. Steve, whatever. And thank you so much for today. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Hold on a second though. So I mean, this is the exact reason why it's important, is because every single time, I've lost a brother to suicide. We've all lost friends, we know somebody, like the numbers with men specifically are getting higher and higher and higher. And I understand, especially with the blue collar, workers, the guys that are out there that are working their asses off, that have, an ex-wife, or they can't see their kids, or they can't seem to make ends meet, or the pressure's too much. And they've spent their whole lives being told that they need to suck it up and deal with it or whatever. It's not the way that it is. And it is the way that it is, but it's not the way that it has to be. It's not fair that we've just assumed that everybody is all right. And so with the same tenacity that you would with a mother and her children, with the same tenacity that you would for a female, please give dudes the same energy. Please. Like they need it. We need it. We need our dudes. They're the backbones of our society, man. Like take care of each other and look out for the dudes. Like I cannot say it enough. The numbers are too high. So
I think just being vulnerable is a strength as well. Society tells us that.
Especially men.
We have to be strong and like face our challenge. We have to put on a brave face, but like, man, fucking cry if you feel like crying. And please
cry to a friend, speak to a friend.
Like, speak open.
Absolutely.
Suicide is it's a really weird thing. It hits you differently, you know. Like, it makes you think, God, I've been there more for them. Everyone has their own path, and it's their decision. Sometimes we just have to accept and respect their decision. But there's things that we can do to prevent this in society. And I think these chats and this podcast and Pinecase.
It's beautiful what you're doing. Thank you so much for what you're doing.
Thank you.
Making it easier for everyone to yeah, rest in peace, Steve Wybrow.
Yeah, absolutely. There you go. Yeah, absolutely. You know what? And this project was built for the dudes. It was built on the backbone of grief and all that stuff. And we talk about it quite a bit about how like all we're going to do is end stigma. And like, that's like not a big deal. It's like the biggest thing to do. But honestly, it's these conversations. It's these conversations that promote the ending of stigma. We need to be able to talk about suicide. We need to be able to talk about drug abuse. We need to be able to talk about these things that are absolutely human nature. And, yeah, so thank you guys. I mean, we can go back and forth with the thank yous all day, but it really does mean a lot to have you guys on here. And thank you for being vulnerable and, letting us in a little bit. And thank you for, talking to us about your friend Steve. I can't imagine that's not very long ago. So, my heart goes out to his family and to yours. And let us know if there's anything that we can do to contribute to anything or,
Yeah, we're going to stay in touch. I feel like we're forming like a connection here.
Yeah.
This is something.
This has been really special.
Yeah, I think we're gonna do a few things together. Anyone that's listening, like, hey, I'm not a counselor or therapist, but if you wanna have a chat,
reach out to us.
We'll reply to you and we can hop on calls. Like, it's not just about the music; it's about the community, and I think it's about just connecting, helping one another. As people come and go, and sometimes suicide, death, all of it puts things in perspective. You never know when you're here. You never know when you're going to see that person again. So little moments of just little gestures is really important. We're there to help you guys.
And don't be afraid to ask for help.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you again for hanging out with us tonight. You guys, again, take care of each other. Let us know. Yeah, the honor was absolutely all of ours. And I was going to say see you next Tuesday because usually that's kind of our joke, but we do have a show this Thursday. So for you guys who wanted to throw something in your schedule, Skylar Ray is going to be hanging out with us Thursday evening, 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Until then, bye.
Bye. We stay strong.
The further you take my rights away, I'ma run to it, refuse to hear my voice. Speak loud when I spit it, but you don't get it. You just wanna be a side critic. See somebody else showing hate in the side of the road with it. Now how would you feel standing on the sideline and watch the color of a nation deteriorate over time? The flag real high but compassion 6 feet below. Now you're searching for that justice that decided to never show. Deny my place, I'm back with a trace. Keep up the pace, tight lace, game face. Get back in the race. Whatever they did could never be undone. Every dark night ends with the rising of the sun. Squandered every wealth that's built from the mud. Squandered every wealth that's built from the blood. Squandered every wealth that's built in chains. Stolen from the ancestors running through my veins.
With the strength of 1,000 lion and the strength of 1,000 giant, we stay strong. We stay strong. With the strength of 1,000 elephant and the strength of 1,000 tiger, we stay strong. We stay strong. We stay strong.
I can see, run to the light at the end of the tunnel winner.
We stay strong.
I can't breathe. We're gonna get oxygen without the justice system.
We stay strong.
And I know, gotta keep my head together, get matter.
We stay strong.
Don't doubt me, please don't doubt me.
We stay strong.
Tell me how can we be strong if we still shooting? Tell me how can we be strong if we still looting? Tell me how can we be strong if we still hating? Please tell me now, please.